What's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Joshua versus Franklin breakdown video. As Anthony Joshua, the former two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world, is going to battle American contender Jermaine Franklin on April 1st on DAZN. Now, before we get into that, guys, if you could show me some love, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really would appreciate any support, guys. You don't like what I'm doing, thumbs down, negative comment. I want you to be real with me. So back to Joshua and Franklin. So, like we do in normal breakdown videos, we will do, I'll discuss the fight itself. I'll discuss, the fight itself and what it means. Then we'll go with either champion or challenger, or favorite and underdog, depending on if it's a title fight or what it is. In this case, we'll start with Joshua and then work to Franklin. We'll talk about what they've done coming into the fight, what kind of style they need to have to win this fight, and we'll talk about, we'll ask the same 5 questions of each of them, and then is it better for boxing if one or the other wins? And then finally, I finish up with my prediction on the fight itself. So, getting into it, talking about the fight and what it means, it's basically one of your top 5 former champs coming back, basically starting over, and in my opinion, at 33, Anthony Joshua is beginning his 3rd and possibly final serious run towards the top of the mountain in the heavyweight division. He's been a significant player in this division since pretty much 2017 when he became a world champion. So that's pretty much 6 years Anthony Joshua has been a significant figure in this division. He's gobbled up world titles and had some pretty nice wins. But now it's time. Actually, I think he might have won his first title in 2016, but I could be wrong on that. I think it was 2016, but be that as it may, he's rolling into this fight with Jermaine Franklin. And Franklin, he's coming off of a strong performance against Dillian White in a fight that he was not supposed to, even be in. And, some people thought he might have won. He felt he won the fight. And as luck would have it, Anthony Joshua chose him to be his next guy. So he's definitely coming in as the B fighter, trying to make a statement. So that's what this fight means. It's pretty much a prelude to Anthony Joshua back on, coming back towards the throne, like trying to make himself a threat to the throne, or Jermaine Franklin throwing his name in the mix and seeing what he can do. Now, we start with Anthony Joshua. We go individual, we separate them and start with Anthony Joshua. What has he done rolling into this fight? Well, Anthony Joshua's coming off of back-to-back losses, and he has not been the most active guy in his last 3 fights. Those date back to December of 2019, where he defeated Andy Ruiz Jr. No, actually, I take that back. It dates back to December of 2020, I believe, when he defeated Kubrat Pulev by a knockout in the later rounds to retain his title in a mandatory defense. Then he would fight Alexander Usyk for the first time in 2021 and come up short, losing I believe a majority decision in that one. Or no, that was a unanimous decision. Usyk pretty much dominated that fight. He was upset, and then he had a mandatory rematch. He fought Usyk again back in August of last year, 22, and he came up short there, dropping a split decision. He fought better. He was more aggressive, but Usyk just still so gifted and technically sound. It was just too tough of a opponent to overcome. So now he's rolling into this fight, really wanting to shake off the 2 losses and put his name back in the mix. And I really do believe he's hungry, but he's also kind of in desperate mode. He really needs to prove a point here. So definitely a fight where he's hungry. What kind of style does Anthony Joshua need to have this fight. And in all honesty, I think Anthony Joshua needs to use the height and reach advantage that he has. He has a significant one. He's a 82 to 77 on the reach. So that's a 5-inch reach advantage right there. Actually, it could be a couple more. And he has a 4-inch height advantage. So he really needs to use that height and reach advantage, box his way in, set up those big power shots. He does not want to get caught with something cold and you know, be upset again. He can't afford that. So he really needs to go in thinking about boxing, getting some rounds in, setting it up, setting the knockout up, and then finishing it in the later rounds. Now, can Anthony Joshua win this fight by knockout? And I believe the answer is yes. I haven't seen Jermaine Franklin in there with significant opponents and be legitimately hurt outside of Dillian White. But Anthony Joshua hits like a ton of bricks. He hits pretty damn hard. So, yeah, I think Joshua can win this fight by knockout. Can Anthony Joshua win this fight by decision? And the answer is yes. I think he's the taller guy. He's probably, you know, he's a good boxer puncher. And I think he could use that height and reach to win a decision for sure. What does a win mean for Anthony Joshua here? Well, it means everything. We just talked about it a few minutes ago. He's desperate. He's in desperate mode. He has to win this fight. So a win to him means everything because it gets him back to winning and pushes him forward towards something bigger. And that's exactly what he wants. So a win means everything. What does a loss mean for Anthony Joshua? To be honest, if he gets upset in any way, shape, or form in this fight, that could be all she wrote about him being a serious contender for the top of the division. It really could. And a bad loss could potentially end his career, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to be straight with everybody. So, yeah, it really is. It really would be detrimental to his career if he loses this fight. Now, we switch over to the underdog, the American contender, Jermaine Franklin. Franklin sits at 21-1 with 14 knockouts. He's heading into this fight, you know, his last 3, he beat some nobody by a decision. Then he got a 5th round TKO against another nobody. And that led him to the Dillian White fight where, you know, one could argue that he won the fight. It was close, and from the eyeball test, because I wasn't scoring it, I felt like Dillian White probably won a close one just because he was landing the harder shots. But hey, if Franklin was doing the better boxing, that's one of those pick your poison type fights based on the type of judge that you are. Do you like the craftsmanship, the boxing ability, or do you like the guy that's landing the harder, cleaner shots? That's tough. It's tough to judge, but it was close. He fought hard, and he suffered that loss, but everybody thought it was going to be Dillian White that got the nod for a rematch with Joshua. But instead, it is Jermaine Franklin. And so heading into this fight, he's got to be hungry. He's got to be upset about the loss to Dillian White, but he's got to be very hungry stepping in there against a former champion and a big name like Anthony Joshua. So he's got to be hungry, maybe a little nervous, you know, but definitely feeling the moment. What kind of fight does Jermaine Franklin need to have in order to win this one? He needs to look for that counter shot. He really does. That, like, any kind of counter punch, he needs to load up, be ready. You know, he needs to set up a time shot because, to be honest, he needs a jab. That's going to be a key component, in my opinion. When Anthony Joshua is coming in, he needs a jab and he needs to move, you know, to get out of the way of that big right hand. And, you know, and even Joshua's left. But he really needs to move and stick and move. But landing a big counter shot at any moment could change the fight. It really could. And that's something he needs to focus on. So, yeah, he definitely needs to time his shots, be ready, and set Anthony Joshua up for something big and significant. Now, can Jermaine Franklin win this fight by knockout? And I'm going to say he can if he lands something big and can hurt him, because Joshua's been hurt before, you know, and he's been put down before. So, you know, Joshua is not immune to being hurt. So, yeah, I do believe that if Franklin was going to win, he could win by knockout. Do I believe Jermaine Franklin can beat Anthony Joshua by a decision? I'm leaning towards the no. Giving up that much of a reach and a height advantage, it's going to be tough. I mean, maybe a close decision if Joshua runs out of gas in the second half of the fight. But for the most part, I don't believe he can win a decision against Anthony Joshua. Now, what does a win mean for Jermaine Franklin? A win would be huge for Jermaine Franklin. It would set him up for the rest of his career. He wouldn't be a one-hit wonder that fought the Dillian Whyte tough. He'd be a guy that beat a former unified world champ. It would put him to the front of the line for most guys. They'd want to get the guy in the ring that knocked Joshua out or beat Joshua. So it would be huge for his career. Now, what does it mean for Jermaine Franklin if he loses this fight? Well, it depends on how he loses. That's going to be significant. But nobody's expecting him to win. So even if Anthony Joshua beats him down, he can probably still get fights because of fighting Whyte and Joshua back to back. Probably still get significant fights just based off of those accolades right there. But a close loss keeps him in the top 10 type situation in serious mix. A brutal knockout loss or a dominating loss would push him back a little further. He'd have to work his way back up a little more, you know, and all that stuff. But he could also be used as a stepping stone. So it's one of those ones where a loss doesn't hurt him as much as it does Joshua, to be honest. So now, is it better for boxing if Anthony Joshua wins this fight or Jermaine Franklin wins this fight? And the truth is, it's better for boxing if Anthony Joshua wins. It really is. Anthony Joshua is a huge name worldwide. He is. He just is. A lot of people don't want to accept that are from the United States, and they might not like Joshua, excuse me. But on a world level, excuse me, Anthony Joshua is a big name in the heavyweight division, and people are going to want to see him fight again, you know? So, and Jermaine Franklin only being a guy that doesn't have a big flashy style, you know, and a guy that's, you know, just been in the ring with Dillian Whyte, he hasn't done anything else, you know, it's better for boxing if Joshua wins. Even though Jermaine Franklin's 4 years younger than Joshua at 29, Joshua's 33. But now finally, what's my prediction on this fight between Anthony Joshua, AJ, and Jermaine Franklin? And for me, it's AJ. I think Joshua's going to win this fight. I think he has a statement to make. I definitely think Jermaine Franklin's a good enough opponent to where AJ should not overlook him. But I think Joshua needs to go in there. He needs a box. He needs to land his shots. But he also doesn't need to walk into anything. So he doesn't need to get overly aggressive. He just needs to land his shots and set up his knockout. He really does. Make sure he's got the stamina to go late if that's what's needed. And sit there and set his power punches up. He can be a little aggressive, but not overly aggressive. Set it up, get the knockout, and I think that's what he'll do. And Jermaine Franklin, again, I do think he is a live underdog, but he's never been on this level. He just hasn't. And yeah, he fought Dillian Whyte tough, but I do think that has to do with Dillian Whyte's focus a lot, and also how serious he takes those fights in terms of training when it's not a big time fight for him. So I think that has something to do with how Franklin's performance turned out that night. So we'll see what happens. Saturday, April 1st on DAZN. Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin in a heavyweight showdown. This is the Joshua versus Franklin breakdown video. Excuse me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.